as requested. Cool. Maybe if it goes well, we'll just have it stored. So we're gonna make an Express server. Cool. First thing that we're gonna do, I posted the repository there, so it's here. Cool. And now I am going to open, I'm just gonna take this, move it to my other screen. I am gonna clear out of this because y'all really don't give a fuck about HashFootball. Can't blame you. It's been a long time since that. And we're just gonna go ahead and make a new directory. We're gonna call it Express Knex Party. Cool, and I'm gonna open that in code. We're all on the code train here. Sweet. So the things that I already know I have to do that I'm gonna try and go off memory, just so that way, we can practice, is the very first thing I'm gonna have to do is we're gonna have to add Express as a package here. So if this ever decides to load up. Oh, I was not doing the right shortcut. I was like, why the fuck isn't this working? Because I was using the wrong shortcut. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to create an app.js. We're going to create, I think that's probably all we need right now. I just want to see something in there. And then we're going to also do an npm init. What does an npm init do, Mary?
It initializes node. I can't remember what the letters stand for.
Cool. What file gets created when I run npm init? A package that rhymes with what? Oh, someone said it. Oh,
is it packages?
It creates a package.json. So close. So close. Creates a package.json. Cool. Nice. And I'm going to try and make this bigger while I can teach. Let's see. Sweet. I'm not going to even open up their document for a little while here. And I'm also just going to type in -y. I don't know if y'all remember from the last node lesson, but it asks you a shit ton of questions. And I say, fuck all those questions. I'm just going to answer yes to all of them, which doesn't even make sense for some of the questions, which is why you just get all of these defaults here. Cool. So this is what my package.json looks like now. But whatever, that's the default. And then I'm going to install Express. I think I'm going to need Knex at some point. We'll just do those two for now. I don't know what else I'll need. I'll figure it out later. Great. So we did that. Now I'm going to go to my app.js, and off memory, I'm pretty sure I have to require in Express. So I have to say const Express equals, actually, I think they called it app, I want to say, but I'm not 100% sure. App equals, oh, fuck, what am I doing? I'm not in Vim mode. I taught the mod oneers not in Vim mode, so that way I could show them some of the little nifty tricks there. And holy shit, Vim mode is, yeah, I'm sold on Vim mode being way faster for now. But anyways, cool. So I'm going to require in Express here. And I can't remember if I have to invoke it, but I'm going to assume that I do have to invoke it. Not with that. Invoke is that. I think that's right. We'll find out. I'd rather not just Google and cheat. Okay, you guys are getting to witness the learning process. And if I remember right, it's app.get, and the first thing is the route. So we just want to get the main route, and then the callback, which takes in a request and a response, which I'm going to actually fully write those out. Request, response. This just gets run whenever I hit that endpoint. So I'm thinking, okay, I want to say response.send. Congratulations. Fucker, you have an app. Great. And then I have to listen. So I'm going to say app.listen. And we're going to listen on 9,000, as always. As always. And also, you know what? We're going to we're gonna bite the bullet early. Last time we set up that nodemon thing. So we'll also, and I think we could do -- save dev node no daemon is actually what it is. And now I have no daemon in my dependencies, but it's specifically in my development dependencies. Cool. And I think to run that, you basically run npx. npx runs it like using these node modules that I just installed. But let's say npx, and then I think nodemon, and then app.js will do it. Yep, that's exactly what it was. So because that's the starting script, I'm going to go in here and we're going to say, oh, whoops, I wanted to do cc, and we want to do our start script is just going to be nodemon app.js. We'll make sure that works. Oh, whoops. npm run start. And this just makes life easier for other people. Cool. Looks like maybe that worked, but we'll find out by going to good old Google. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to get rid of y'all's faces. Not that I don't love them, but I need to be able to see my screen. Don't look at my Facebook. Don't look at my Facebook. Don't look at it. Whatever you do, don't look at it. Seriously, don't look at it. It's rude. Stop looking at it. I'm just kidding. I have no idea if anyone's looking at it. Cool, it worked. I did everything right. Oh, I'm so happy over that. Does everybody give me a thumbs up if you're here. Cool. Sweet. Well then, congratulations, motherfuckers. Y'all have apps. Sweet. So the next thing that we have to do is start Googling shit. Not Googling shit, but we're going to run through this tutorial. And you know what? I lied. I'm going to pull it up so we can all look at this together. So let's see. Build out the basic Express server like way we have done before. Create another const app that invokes Express. Oh, okay. This is an interesting thing. Is anyone confused by what this process.env.port is? If you learn nothing else from this lesson, I'm going to teach you environment variables, and they're fucking phenomenal once you kind of know what they are. So an environment variable in general is a variable that your whole computer has access to. What do I mean by that? Let's just say I go in here and I type in home, and I type echo in general, just repeats something. So if I do echo home, what it's going to do is it's going to tell me what this home variable equals. And hey, look at that. That means that on my computer, I have a variable called home, and this is the home directory. Does anybody else know how I access that? There's another way I can access the same thing other than writing out $home. Anybody have an idea? You've seen it before.
Is it going to be a tilde?
It's a tilde! I don't know that it works if I just do echo tilde though. We'll find out. Oh, yep, it does. Cool. Look, it's the same thing. Sorry, I got way too excited over that, but that's exactly what it is. It's a tilde. That's just your home directory, right? So in general, there's a whole bunch of these that your computer stores on it. Another one that you've probably seen, path. Cool. Well, just to kind of show you what's going on here, how about instead of sending congratulations, you fucker, you have an app? We're going to do it the Node way. So in Node, I can grab process.env and then the variable name. So if I have home, give that a save. Let's look at what we get here now. Bam, it just spits out that variable. So process.env is a way for Node to access those environment variables on our computer. Yeah, write that down. Do what Mary's doing. Write that shit down. This is a good one. Take it as a sticky note. This is good. This is real good for deploying stuff. Super important stuff.
Would you mind repeating it again, like what your definition?
Yes. process.env allows you to access environment variables on your computer. Environment variables on your computer are literally just variables that your whole computer has access to. Now, the reason why these matter is because let's say I take this application and I deploy it onto another computer, right? Well, even if I upload all the same code here, what changes when I go to the other computer? The environment. So all the environment variables are different on the other computer. Now, this sounds like a bad thing, like, ah, fuck, they're not the same. Now I gotta worry about all this compatibility shit. What the fuck? But there's actually a plus side to this, which is that let's say I have a secret, super secret API key, right? So I'm gonna make one now. Const super secret API key is going to equal 1, 2, 3, don't pick me. Cool. That's my super secret API key, right? Well, if I go and I deploy this to GitHub, guess what? Everybody now can see my super API, my super secret API key, because I just deployed this line of code to GitHub, right? It's on there. It's there for the world to see. What I can do instead is I can create an environment variable on my computer, maybe called, and reference that. So what I would do is I could create an environment variable on my computer called super secret API key, and then now reference that. Super secret API key. I can reference that here. Obviously, you wouldn't send it out. We'll just call it super secret, so I just don't have to do all that typing. Now, the problem is that if I define it, just like in my Zish, create a global variable, well, it doesn't really like stay around for very long. So the thing that I have to do is technically you can use, this is something that you can do, is you can do a, I think it's called this. There's an NPM package called .env, and what it does is it creates environment variables based off of a .env file. And by the way, this is super stressful right now. Don't worry about it. We're going to make a Node app. This is part of it, though. I think that this is part of, honestly, just making any app in general is understanding environment variables. So hopefully y'all don't mind this rabbit hole too much. Cool. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one called super secret. And it's going to say, hey, actually, you don't need those quotes. Hey, I have a secret. I think this is the syntax. Give this a save. And then what I need to do is when I load up my app, I could just do, I think I could just do, let's see. I cannot remember the syntax. So what I do is I look up this npm package called .env. By the way, all programming languages have a way of accessing these. Require.env.config. That's what it is. Bam. Whoops. I'll just type it out. Whoops. Cool. And now if I'm right, then what it's going to do is it's going to go into this .env file. It's going to create this thing called super secret. And it's now going to fake an environment variable for my computer. And then hopefully, oh, I need to restart my server. npm run start. Bam. Hey, it's a secret. Cool. Now the reason why, okay, you might be asking why, if I'm just going to upload this .env to my computer anyways, then what's the point? Well, you don't upload this to GitHub. You actually put a git ignore on this. So you do not upload this to GitHub. What you do is, I'll show you guys an example. I'll actually go to one of my deployed apps, for example. If I go to Heroku and sign in. what you do is you configure the environment that your application runs on. So especially for backends, you would do this. You would say, oh, okay, basically my backend is a computer, right? So I can tell on Heroku, I could tell it what those environment variables are. So I would go in here. Oh shit, I don't know if I log in this one. Oh, cool. So I can go in here and I could look at my resources, maybe deploy, access settings, price settings, reveal config variables, and don't look at those for very long. But the point is that these are where I can define these environment variables. And now there's nowhere on GitHub that has access to this. It's on Heroku, it's not on GitHub. So if you look at my GitHub, you don't actually know what my environment variables are. You just know that I'm using the environment variables. Make sense? Cool beans! Woo! Hooray! I'm excited. Okay, I'm done. Too much excited. I need to drink some coffee. Maybe I need to drink less coffee. I don't know. One of the two. It's always a balance with ADD, you know? It's always like, do I drink more coffee? Do I drink less coffee? I saw a Rick and Morty episode where Rick is talking to Morty and he's like, Morty, I can't tell if I took too much Adderall or not enough Adderall to get this job done. I'm like, relatable. Can relate, except for with coffee right now. But I've been on prescribed Adderall before. Anyways, cool. That was a random ADD rabbit hole, which makes sense. All right, sweet. So if I'm looking here, let's see what we got to do next. I'm not going to do the listening on port because we know it's listening on the right port. We checked it. Boopity boop boop. Right. Let's get a basic route now. Cool. So we have the get. We did that. Cool. We did all this already. Knex and PostgreSQL setup. Now that we have our basic Express server together, we're going to need to start messing with Knex and PostgreSQL. Who has Postgres installed? Raise your hand. Wow, Jordan made it to the slope so fast. If you don't have Postgres installed, just fucking stop and watch because it takes time to install, and we're not going to do that this lesson. If you do have it installed, congratulations. You can try and keep following along. My recommendation is if you don't have Postgres installed, chill. You're good. You can try running this and see if it works, but if you start running into like, what the fuck is going on? Just take a breather. You're good, okay? Because I might run into issues and I have Postgres installed. So if you run into issues and don't have Postgres installed, there's no hope for catching up in this lesson. So we'll see. Cool. All righty. Sweet, I have someone buying a beat from me. That always feels good. It's like, oh, cool, my beats don't suck completely. All right, nice. So anyways, we need to create a database. So first we have to install Knex. Oh, and PG. So can anyone guess what PG stands for? Anyone got an idea?
Postgres.
npm install PG. We already installed Knex because I guessed Knex, but I didn't know that we would need the PG. And it looks like these things are commands that we're going to need. So how about instead of making one called G95, because I don't even know what G95 is, we're going to create a database called dogs. Yeah. So I'm going to run create db dogs. This is dogs with a Z. I have no idea if that worked. Fortunately, I downloaded this app called Postgresql that kind of allows me to check. We'll see if it works. Hang on a minute here. Cool. Failed to load table schema. Uh-oh. Reload. Oh, cool. Awesome. I'm going to go into John. Dogs. It worked. Okay, cool. This app, if you don't know about it, is called Postgresql. It's like the easiest one to work with that I've found. The other ones were a fucking nightmare. So this one was just pretty easy to learn. If you're ever curious about it, it just kind of allows you to look at your database and what's going on. Awesome. So we did that. Now we need to, so we did that. We created dogs and then Knex init. Sweet. So this creates a Knex file. Let's see what happens. Knex init. I'm expecting a Knex file to show up here. I pointed at my screen. Oh, maybe I have to do npx Knex init because I have Knex installed. That's exactly what it was. So what does that mean? Knex I don't have installed on my whole computer, but I do have Knex installed in here, right? So if I want to run it out of this node modules folder, when I'm CD'd into this folder, then I could run npx and it runs it out of here. Cool, I'm gonna ask that question actually to everybody. Well, maybe not everybody, but some people. Colton, what does npx do?
It runs it locally in whatever directory you're in, right?
So specifically locally, be a little more specific. Where does it pull out of locally?
Your node modules.
Your local node modules folder. Cool, I'm gonna ask Jordan the same question. What does npx do?
Pulls it out of your local node modules folder.
Cool. Cat, so when I ran Knex init without the npx, why did it break?
Because it wasn't pulling out of your local node modules folder.
Because it wasn't pulling out of my local node modules folder, but maybe Mary, can you find the other reason? Why would that be a problem? It doesn't break whenever I use light server. Light server is an npm package. What's the difference there?
Because light server is like installed on your whole computer. And
Yes, light server is installed globally. When I installed light server, I did npm install -g. What do we think that G stands for, Kevin?
Globally.
Yes, so I did npm install -g light server, and that's why I have access to that globally on my computer, and that's why I don't have access to Knex globally on my computer. Cool beans. Do y'all feel like y'all understand that distinction now? Because I didn't understand that distinction for a long time. So if y'all understand that, then that's either I'm a really good teacher or y'all are really smart. Either way, I'm happy about that. Sweet. Cool. So next thing is we have to do, right? I don't know what I'm doing. So we're just following this tutorial. Take a look at that file. It's a configuration file. It has a bunch of keys within a module exports. Cool. Let's take a look at that file. Awesome. There's typically two types or a few types of configuration files we'll see. Who could think of some? Who could think of like some formats for configuration files that we've seen? Anybody got any ideas? So in JavaScript, the two big ones that you see are either this module export style, and this is more recent, or you would see like a JSON configuration file. Can anyone give me an example of a JSON configuration file that might exist here?
Package.json.
Package.json. So this is also a configuration file. It's like telling some other piece of code, what's here? How do I configure things? What's going on? And then in your Knex file, this is a different type of configuration file because this uses the JavaScript syntax. I kind of like it because it's easier to write. So for example, I don't have to worry about putting double quotes on this shit, which can get annoying, right? Like I don't like doing that shit. So now you write it like a JavaScript object, and then also there's some other flexibility that allows that you probably won't run into for a while. So I'm not even gonna really worry about that now. Oh, hey, it kind of looks like this is just a thought process here, but I'm going to take a guess that each one of these represents a different. Oh, I don't know what that. Okay, this is interesting. Is this formatted right? Yeah, so we have development. So this is probably going to be my development. This will be my development database, which it looks like you probably could just do SQLite and it'll work. Like, I'm willing to bet for you, Cho, that if you just leave this as SQLite and get rid of everything else, you'll probably be fine. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. But yeah, and then I don't know what staging means, but production means your server that's in production. So when you want to connect to your in production database, you connect to production. When you want to connect to your development database, you connect to development. Make sense? Cool. Awesome. You'll notice that the top level keys are development, staging, and production. We're not going to mess with staging. Oh, delete everything within that key. Cool. I love how I was like, I don't know what staging is. Delete it. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, definitely down for that. Delete that. And how did I do that so fast? Because Vim is incredible. Even though this isn't Vim, this is VS Code. Kyle would be ashamed of me. All right, so next we have cool. Go ahead and delete everything. Also notice that we are using SQLite3 as their client. Well, we're not. We're using PostgreSQL. Change the client on both development and production to PG. Feel like maybe this should be PostgreSQL and not PG. I'm gonna do that first. Part of me also thinks that maybe we could just leave this as SQLite3 and see what happens. I'm thinking, I want to think for a second. Cho, for you, we're gonna try and do this with SQLite3 instead of Postgres, okay? We're doing that for you, buddy. I got you. We're gonna see what happens. We might not have to worry about production database anyways. Next, make our migrations and seeds. Cool. I'm curious. I want to see like what those development commands are going to wind up being. We're just going to keep going with this for a while, and if we run into errors, we'll go backwards. I don't want to waste too much time wondering what the fuck to do. But here it looks like we could, let's configure that. Yeah. So we're going to configure that Postgres database, I guess. We're going to do that for the development. And I think what you do is connection would be, oh, interesting. It looks like it changed actually. Because look, this is a string. And here, they want a database, a user, and a password. Fortunately, I've actually seen this before. So I think what you're kind of supposed to do is we created a dogs database. And I don't know if this is going to work. We'll find out. The user is usually PostgreSQL and the password is PostgreSQL by default. Actually, it's Postgres and Postgres, I think. This is like a default that comes when you install Postgres, and that fucking threw me for a fucking loop the one time I tried to use Postgres a while back, and I was like, what the fuck is, I didn't create a username and password. What the fuck is it? And it defaults to this, and I had to go down a rabbit hole to find that little nugget of information. So that was fun. And all right, we'll do that for now. We'll kind of see what happens. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. Connection for development. Okay, so for the connection for development, we're just going to leave it as this. Because, okay, so does anybody know the difference between how SQLite lives on your computer and how Postgres lives? Okay, SQLite is a file. Your whole database lives inside of one file. Nice and simple. PostgreSQL is like a server that runs and listens for changes and access and stuff like that. That's the difference. Now, the reason why you eventually want to get more used to using things like PostgreSQL is because when you go to deploy, and whenever you're using a large scale application, you'd rather have that server. I think there's a lot more features you have on it, and it works faster. Everyone does it. No one uses SQLite though. For like
I just wrote a
base.
blog post about that.
Yeah, what do you tell us? Tell us what you've heard.
So I wrote my blog post about PostgreSQL and SQLite3. SQLite3 is just what comes standard when you run your Ruby Rails API. like your Rails new dash API.
Mhm.
But if you just write database equals PostgreSQL right after that, it'll just load up a new PostgreSQL database
Mhm.
instead. And
Oh, yeah.
Postgres, what makes it much easier to deploy because it's a server full backend versus SQLite, which is serverless. So you can't even really deploy a serverless backend that easily with like Heroku. Like Heroku doesn't even support that.
SQLite is used in like cars, I think. Like they use them in devices that need databases, not
It's
so much
super
on
lightweight,
websites.
it's super small memory, and then there's only
Right.
5 data types in SQLite, and Postgres has like 7 different geometric databases. Like there's just like 8 different number types, and like everything's just like way more powerful. You can save arrays, you can save objects. It's like just a way more powerful database.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna try this Knex migrate thing. So it says migrate make, and I'm guessing that this makes a migration, and I'm just gonna call it dogs. Oh, whoops. Ah, fucker. God, I'm trash. Whatever. npx migrate make dogs. Uh-oh! I'm guessing that this is because I did something wrong here. So we're gonna try getting rid of the production database. Oh man, I am nervous about doing that.
Were you supposed to have said Knex after the NPX on that last one?
Was I supposed to what?
Like in your terminal, your command, you wrote like Knex and then it didn't work, so you said NPX, but you didn't say Knex on that last one. You know what I'm trying to
That's
say?
exactly what it is. Oh, thank you. You saved me from trouble. Knurk. The fuck?
It tried.
Yeah, I tried. And failed. I did npx Knex migrate make dogs. And this one says cannot find module SQLite3. Oh, that tells me that I don't have a node module for that. So the good news is I could probably just do npm install SQLite3. See what that does. Come on, Knex. It's doing stuff. I'm so happy it's doing stuff. Please don't break. I got my fingers crossed. Uh-oh. 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 If this doesn't work, we're just gonna try the Postgres way.
It worked for me, John.
Did it? Did it get
Yes.
stuck like this?
Yeah, it did.
Okay, cool. Well then I'm gonna use the restroom real quick. I'll be right back. Because why not? Y'all didn't hear me celebrate that it ran because I was muted. I was celebrating. I was in party mode. I was so excited that Doomy came to me. He's like, what's going on over here? Awesome. So it ran. Now I'm going to try this npx Knex migrate make dogs. Cool. It created a migration. But where? I think, oh, right in here. We got a migration. Oh, hallelujah. Now, this part's kind of weird. So I've actually fortunately done this before, so it's not a huge deal. But there's this concept of migrating up and migrating down. We'll go over that in a second. Let's see. Inside your exports up, we're going to get this. Actually, you know what? I want to look at the Knex documentation because I think that'd be cooler than just looking at this document, this tutorial. So I'm going to go to Knex.js. And we want to look up migrations. Nice. That's not really what I want. Migration section. I don't like these documents. Seed files. No, that's not what we want. Jesus, this is not great documents. I don't like the documentation. Migrations. Read the migration section. This is terrible. This is horrible. It doesn't even give an example of what the code should look like. I wonder if I can do a Command F on up. Or maybe like, what does this code look like? Exports.up. Oh, there you go. Cool. I'm going to copy this. I think that's a smarter move than just going off what Damon did. I'm going to do this. I did not copy what I wanted to. Let's see. Command V. Cool. Exports up. We'll talk about like what that means in a second. Also, I want to format this because it looks hideous. Holy fuck. And honestly, since I really don't know Node that well, I'll teach you something in the meantime. Here's how you configure a Prettier file in VS Code. So Prettier is like a way of formatting your document. So if I go here, Command Shift, format document, it formatted that. But also you see how like some of the stuff is showing up as red. You can actually create a configuration file for the document. I do this here. I don't want it to be in migrations though. I want it to be in like one folder out. So it'll be an Express Knex party. Bam, I should get a Prettier file. Boop, bam. And then for now, I'm just going to make the tab width 2 and use tabs true. And that should fix our problems. So now when I'm here, if I open that up again, I'm going to save that. Let's say I'll open this up again. Hey, that looks a lot prettier, doesn't it? It's almost like there's an extension named after that. I wouldn't have done that if I couldn't do it so fast. But I used to like struggle a lot with figuring out how to get formatters to work. But it's pretty nice because like, let's say I fuck up while I'm programming and then I just hit save. Oh, cool. It fixes it for me. I like that. If anybody ever wants a class on like configuring that type of shit, that shit's fun. It feels fun. Ever since I learned how to configure it, it's way more fun to program and just be like, oh, I saved. Everything looks beautiful. And I didn't even have to like think that hard about it. Cool. So what does this do? It looks like to me, if I had to take apart this code without knowing anything about it, right? This creates a users table, and this table has an auto incrementing ID, and it has a user is going to have a first name, and that first name cannot be null. User is also going to have a last name And that last name cannot be null. Do we agree with that's what this kind of looks like it does? Cool. So now that I found that default code, I am just going to go ahead, delete that, and we're going to create a dogs table. So let's make a dogs table. I'm assuming that this is a function table. I'm assuming all that stays the same. I don't really think a dog has a first name and a last name. Like Doomslayer Higger sounds kind of strange to me, but maybe he is that. I don't know. Anyways, cool. So we'll give a dog a name. We'll also give a dog an age. I don't know what this 255 means, but I think that might have something to do with how long the characters can go. Like maybe you're saying like, oh, how big of a name can I put in there? And I'm thinking that might be a character limit. See if it says anything here. I'm guessing that's what it is, but I don't know. We're just going to leave it there for now. Give this a save. Cool. And then if I go to here, oh, and this is interesting. Create table takes 2 arguments, the name of your table and an anonymous function. I'm willing to bet that you could make this not an anonymous function if you wanted to. Just saying. Cool. And also let's look at that down one. So this is interesting. Okay. So here it's saying return Knex.schema. So this is the thing that's kind of weird about Node at first is I think in Rails, things look super simple. And in here, you're kind of like, oh, okay, here's an argument called Knex. And then I'm calling like this schema object on it. It's just because of the way JavaScript is, you have to pass stuff around differently. So like the other Node libraries that I've worked in do look a lot similar to this, where it's like I'm pulling off of a Knex object and I'm doing stuff off of that. But it's totally okay to just look at this and be like, I'll just get some boilerplate code and not know too much about what you're doing. And it looks like drop table and then dogs is what we want here. That'll do the trick. Cool. Let's talk a little bit about what migrating up means. In Rails, when I type migrate, it automatically basically means migrate all of these files up. And then when I type in rollback, it undoes those. And the thing is that Rails is smarter in that sense. So in Rails, if you type in rollback, it knows exactly how to undo the thing that you created. Because someone at Rails wrote software that says, oh, how do you undo creating a table? You drop a table. But Knex is stupider than that. So we have to tell Knex, when you want to undo this, this is what you have to do. Does that make sense? Cool. That's what like migrating up and migrating down means. Cool. And that allows you to go just backwards if you fuck up something in your database. Cool. So I'm going to give this a save. And I don't know what this config is, but we didn't get it in ours. So I'm not even going to worry about it. Cool. Let's go back to this tutorial here because I don't even know the thing to run when we do that. Always need a primary key. Cool. Table.increments ID. Nice. So now, I'm wondering if we could run this migration. So I'm wondering if I could do npx like, I'm willing to bet I could do npx Knex help or something like that. Oh yeah, we get a list of commands, kind of like rake -t. We get a list of commands. So we could migrate up We're going to do that. We're going to migrate up first. So I'm going to type in npx Knex migrate up. It looks like it ran. And this is kind of what's cool about something like Postgresql is now, oh, whoops. I wonder if I can look at this. Let's see. I'm gonna hit Command R to refresh. Information schema. You know, I don't see anything here really. Like usually a table pops up. And that leads me to believe that maybe it didn't work. Oh, right, because it's all in our SQLite file. Huh. Right, it's not in our Postgres database. I think. Interesting. Yeah, it seems like maybe what I should do is actually configure this with Postgres. I don't know. But cool, we created a table. I don't know how to verify whether or not it's there because it happened in this SQLite file. And you can't really just read a SQLite file like that. So we're just going to, I guess, hope that things went well for now. I don't really know a way to, wondering if there is a plugin for that or something like that. There might be. Oh! Let's look at this. How does this work? It might actually not be that hard to use. We could also open it in our browser if we wanted to. I'm sorry, so like we could always do it the way that we learned initially, which is we could, if we want to check what's going on in there, we could type in Sqlite3 and then dev.sqlite. And then if I type in .schema, so it looks like we have dogs in there. So it looks like we did something. That's good. And I cannot remember how to exit SQL, but I want to say it's Q. What is, does anybody remember that command?
.exit.
.exit. Oh, cool. Thank you. Oh, hey, Damon.
Hey.
We're just winging it in here. So no, we wound up going with SQLite just because Ryan does not have Postgres on his computer. So I just didn't know how else to check it. So that's why I was popping into SQLite. But we're creating a dogs table and we haven't even gotten really to the SQL queries yet. Yeah. We did get to talk about environment variables and some other cool stuff though. Let's see. So the next thing that we're going to have to do is configure some seeds. So we have to make these seeds by, I guess, this command, Knex seed make. And then, I guess, should I call it 0, 1 dogs? I kind of just want to call it dogs. Maybe initial dogs. Knex. Not DB. Seed make. And then let's follow convention here. Oh, npx. Darn it. Cool. Nice. And it looks like now we have a seeds file. Bam. And it kind of looks like it did all that for us. We just have to rewrite things. So in this case, if we're making dogs, we're probably changing the dogs database. And let's see. Would you manually input the ID like that, or is that something you would get rid of? Like, because if it's auto incrementing, you probably don't need that, I would think. I'm going to assume that we can get rid of all that. Because I would think if we have our database set up to auto increment dogs, which if we look at our thing here, we have table.increments ID. I think that that's what that does. Then if we put everything in there but ID, the database will figure out the ID, is what I'm guessing. So this is all just guesswork here. But now let's see, we're gonna need 3 dogs, and all that a dog has right now is a name and an age. And I probably should have not made age a string, which I think is what it's gonna default to, but whatever, it's done. What's done is done. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna say the name in here, we'll give it Doomslayer, and then we'll give it an age of it. We'll give him an age of 1. And for now, let's just seed 1 dog. And I like it. Looks.
Change the table name.
Oh, I thought I did change that. Weird.
There's like 2 of them.
Yeah, my bad. Good call.
Yo,
And-
so real quick, John, a nice little comparison of what's happening here is just like Rails. See how it does like connects dogs.delete and then it adds the seeds? That is just like you guys throwing like a destroy all at the top of your seeds file.
That's exactly what I was just gonna say. Like, I'm like pretty sure that that's what this does. I saw that .del. I'm like, I'm guessing that that's what that does, because I was looking for like an up and down here, and I'm like, I don't see an up and down. So
Yep, exactly
that's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool. So now when I'm here, there's probably some command to run these seeds. Like, let's see if we can find it without daemon. npx Knex help. I bet we can find the right command. Seed run. I bet that'll do the trick. npx seed run. Using environment, it ran a seed file. So now what I would do is I would check that. And currently the best way I have to do that, unfortunately, I'm sure there's better ways of doing it, but right now, because I just am in unfamiliar territory, I'm just gonna do it probably what's the slow way, which is using SQLite. And I want to go into the dogs table, which I just want to do select all from dogs. Oh. Uh-oh. That's concerning.
The database you went into, you added an extra S on your file.
You're exactly right. Oh my gosh. Yep. Delete that. This is why I yell at mod oneers for not using tab, and I am guilty of it as well. So SQLite3, and then dev.sqlite. Select all from. I'm assuming it worked because we didn't get any error messages. Hey, we got dogs. We got dogs, dog. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Cool. I'm happy about that one. And then, Damon, you think, oh, he left. I was going to ask him if he thought we had time for queries. So who here has gotten this far?
Yes, sir.
Congratulations. You've gotten further than I ever got at Knex in a whole year of programming. So mazel tov. I'm proud of you. That's the first thing.
I am building a project with it right now, so I need to be able to do it. So I am
Nice.
trying as hard as possible. I've gone through the same tutorial like 2 times, but this time actually was like ready, like able to keep up and did it. So
Good. Well, that's because I'm slow as hell.
Hell yeah.
At least slow.
but at least you sold a beat, dog.
Literally. Sweet. So now we need to require in our Knex file, but we don't want to import all of it. We only want to import the production config or the development config. Oh, okay. When we deploy to Heroku, Heroku creates an environment variable called node environment. We talked about environment variables, right? Let's just do a quick refresher, because if we don't get this next step done, I want y'all still to walk away from this lesson with like some good stuff. So what is an environment variable, Mary?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. Give it a better shot than that. Give it a try, even if you sound silly.
So, well, I was just doing the ADD brain thing where it was like, I am here, but I'm not really here. So if you just told us, then I definitely just didn't, I straight up didn't.
Environment variables we talked about way earlier.
Oh, okay. So, I'm so sorry. I don't even know how I would.
Do you
explain it
remember
right
when I
now.
did that process.node.environment type thing? Or process.env thing? And then I had all those variables that were like all caps letters.
Yes.
Those are environment variables.
So, okay, yeah. So the environment variables are.
Give it a shot. You got this.
I know it's things like light server and things like that. It's like, right? Am I
No.
on the right track?
Not quite. Those were global npm packages that we installed. Environment variables are literally just variables that exist on your computer. How do I
Okay.
access an environment variable from Zish, Cat? You're muted.
Yeah. That's the np environment. Is that the npm command?
Nope.
No.
That's literally, you would just, to access an environment variable from Zish, it's just $ that all caps variable.
$sign all caps. Okay.
Anybody know how I access it from inside of JavaScript?
Process env dot variable.
Exactly. Cool. Anybody know how you access it in Ruby? You shouldn't, because I didn't tell you about it yet. There is an env object that you get access to in Ruby that gives you access to that. Don't worry about it for now. I'm gonna go ahead and say, go fill out your surveys. If y'all want to run through this again tomorrow at the Higgs pace, I would be more than happy to continue this lesson. If you want to go through it this slow. If you want to go through it fast, it might be worth not requesting 12 classes in a day. Go fill out your survey comments. How do y'all feel about this? Did y'all get something out of it, even though it was kind of slow? Do y'all feel like you learned something? Cool.
Yeah, for sure. Environment variables.
Good.
Got it.
Environment, if you got nothing else out of this lesson, like we've taught whole classes on environment variables. So if that was just like a quick nugget of information for you, that is a good quick nugget to like digest. But also we're gonna get a fucking node backend made. We're gonna do it. I promise.
Hell yeah. Peace out, brother.
All right, later guys.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
I feel